So I want to get started by sort of describing just how big of a deal this was. So on Friday, when I heard the news, I was in a meeting with two other lawyers, and we were talking business, talking legal things that were going on in our lives. All, three lawyers, three criminal defense attorneys. We were sitting in my office on Friday, and I looked down at my phone, and I got the notification, and I said, "Oh my gosh, is this right?" And so we were sitting in front of a computer, and I pulled it up, and there it was, the headline: Ruth Bader Ginsburg had died. And this is, we think we're 45 days out from the election at that point. And this was something that we were not expecting. This kind of came as a blindside for some reason. I sort of kind of believed what I was reading in the media, that she was okay. For the last year or even longer than that, we had a situation where Ruth Bader Ginsburg was in and out of the hospital, and they were constantly saying she was okay, and she was sort of gone for a while and then coming back and then gone for a while and then back again. And then suddenly she just passed away. And so it was a little bit of a surprise to me and to my colleagues, both of my friends. We were sitting there going, no way. It was almost a surreal moment. Like this is crazy. How could this possibly be happening? We're already in this sort of perfect storm of political chaos. We've got the coronavirus. We've got Black Lives Matter. We've got Antifa. We've got buildings burning down. I mean, we've got just sort of chaos out there, and people are already highly polarized. Then suddenly we're going to take this issue and we're just going to shove it in the forefront of everything. And I can't let go on sort of the monumental impact that this is going to have for the foreseeable future. And some people I think are downplaying it a little bit. They're saying this really isn't that big of a deal. A lot of the Republicans are saying, oh, we have these election year appointments all the time, and everybody's just sort of trying to get their political edge by making arguments that I think are good, but they're kind of missing the mark a little bit. This is something that is so big just because of the fact that this could tip the power of the court, and it could lead to ramifications that follow us around forever for the rest of our lives. And so I want to dive into that. So let's take a quick look at what the current Supreme Court makeup was when Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was on the bench. And so this is what it looks like. This is the current makeup if Ruth Bader Ginsburg were still on the court. So a lot of people just really aren't familiar with how the Supreme Court works. And so we're going to do a little bit of a crash course on this right now, right? We have in the United States, we have three branches of government. We have the executive branch, which is the presidency. They execute the laws. We have the legislative branch, which is Congress, both the Senate and the House. They are the branch that sort of creates the laws. And then the judiciary is going to be the arbiter. It's going to decide whether laws are constitutional or not, or whether federal actions are constitutional or not. And so the Supreme Court is just it's the arbiter. They're governing whether or not all of this stuff is working as it should. If it's unconstitutional, that goes out and everybody goes back to the drawing board. And the Supreme Court currently is made up of 9 members, and these are the 9 members who were on there. Now, of course, Justice Ginsburg here is no longer with us, but the reason why the Supreme Court is stacked this way is because this is how our Congress set it up. There's no rule that says it has to be these 9 people, or it has to be 9 at all. It could be 11, 15, could be 100. There's really no limit in the Constitution that says whether something has to be a certain number or anything like that, at least as it relates to the Supreme Court. And so what we have now, or had, is a situation where we had 5 so-called conservative judges, people who were nominated by Republicans. Alito and Roberts were both nominated by George W. Bush. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh were both nominated by Trump. And they make up the conservative wing. You've got Thomas over here on the end too. He's been on the court for a very long time, also appointed by a Republican. And then we have these 4 judges over here on the left who are reliably liberal. They're almost always voting with the left, and so they make up the left bank. You've got Stephen Breyer and Ginsburg, who were both nominated by Bill Clinton. And then recently, you may remember, we have Kagan and Sotomayor, who were both nominated by President Barack Obama. Now, if you look up here, the reason why I actually delineated this out a little bit, the reason why we're talking about Roberts as being sort of in the middle here, you see some of this liberalness is over onto his photograph. And the reason being is, well, he can be pretty liberal sometimes. If you remember correctly, he was the deciding vote on the Affordable Care Act, on Obamacare. When that went up to the Supreme Court, all of the right-wing judges, they all wanted the end of that act. They wanted to eliminate the individual mandate. All the liberals on the court were supportive of it. And Judge Roberts basically sided with the liberals and said that the Affordable Care Act was allowed. They could impose mandatory things upon the citizens of this country because he characterized it as a tax. And so when we look at this, there are a lot of commentators, and myself included, who don't really think that Judge Roberts is a reliable conservative vote on the court. Sometimes he tends to go with the left. And so this was the balance. You can see it's fairly close. It was, a 5-4 type of a situation. And Roberts, from time to time, would vote with the left, and he was somebody who was sort of in the middle. Now, it's also important to note that Chief Justice Roberts is the Chief Justice, and a big part of what I have read from him in his opinions and sort of his public statements, which have been very, very minimal. That's sort of the situation when you are a Supreme Court judge. He is highly concerned with the credibility of the court. He wants to make sure that the public thinks that the court is legitimate and respects the court. And that's sort of why he will sort of walk a very fine line, and he'll find dispositions in cases that maybe you would not say are conservative or liberal, but he's trying to sort of split the middle, which is what he did with the Affordable Care Act. So when we go back to this, we're going to see that it's really kind of a balanced court at this moment in terms of left versus right. At least that's the public perception of it. You can make your positions or your opinions on Roberts, but this is what the makeup looks like.